Hello everyone, I'm Casey the Gamer, and it's time for another game review. This time we have another Castlevania adventure. It's time for Castlevania Dracula X. Castlevania Dracula X was once again developed by Konami and was released on July 21st, 1995 in Japan and in September 1995 in North America for the Super Nintendo. Dracula X is kinda sorta a remake or a reimagining of Rondo of Blood. I mentioned this game in my Rondo of Blood review. The story is similar, but beyond that, the game has new stages and some different bosses, but it also does include some bosses from Rondo of Blood. There are a couple of reasons for this being a reimagining instead of a direct port. First of all, there were limits of the Super Nintendo cartridge, and there was an exclusivity agreement with the maker of the PC engine. So, how does Dracula X stack up against Rondo of Blood? How does it fare as a Castlevania game in general? Well, let's take a look at it and find out. The story is basically the same as Rondo of Blood, but just in case, there are spoilers ahead. Dracula is revived and he kidnaps Richter's girlfriend Annette. He also kidnaps Maria in an attempt to lure Richter to him so he can take revenge on the Belmonts. Richter fights his way through some crazy stages and enemies before confronting Dracula. Richter defeats Dracula after a crazy fight. There's only 2 girls to rescue as opposed to the 4 that were in Rondo of Blood. There are 3 different ending screens in the game, depending on if you rescue nobody, if you only rescue Maria, or if you rescue both Maria and Annette. I'm kind of surprised that there isn't one for rescuing just Annette and not Maria. Anyway, that's the story for this one. Castlevania Dracula X plays like your classic Castlevania. You will strut, jump, and use your whip as you make your way through the stages to get to Dracula. The game really is just a watered-down version of Rondo of Blood, but for the most part, it's still a decently solid and fun Castlevania game. For the most part. But we'll get to that a little bit later. So, being a watered-down version of Rondo of Blood, there are some differences in Dracula X. There isn't a save game feature in Dracula X like there was in Rondo of Blood, but there is a password system, so you can get back to the stage you were on if you have to shut off the game, or if you want to replay a stage. It isn't as convenient as Rondo of Blood, but it's not the biggest deal. In Rondo of Blood, when you saved Maria, you would unlock her as a playable character. That is not the case in Dracula X, so that's a little disappointing. Maria was a lot of fun to play as. Another difference is when it comes to the item crashes, your super move for your sub-weapons. There's a few differences when it comes to them. Like, I know for sure the item crash for the boomerang cross is different. I don't know if that's because of limitations, or if they just wanted it to be different. One thing that I was surprised to find out was the same, is that Dracula X does have some alternate stages like Rondo of Blood did. There are 2 alternate stages total. And then one of the regular stages will have a different boss fight if you've saved both Maria and Annette. Like in Rondo of Blood, Richter comes equipped with the Vampire Killer Whip as his main weapon. All the same sub-weapons are back in this game as well. The knife, the axe, the holy water, the watch, and the boomerang cross. And they all work like they always do. And the items are what you'd expect the game to have as well. Wall meat, hearts, the rosary, one-ups, invincibility potions, and money bags. Castlevania Dracula X has a total of 9 stages. 7 main stages and 2 alternate stages. Throughout your journey, you will have to battle crazy bosses like Cerberus, a giant bat, a Doulahan, a Minotaur, a werewolf, Carmilla, or Death. So if you only rescue Maria, you will have to battle Carmilla after she kills or possesses Annette. I'm not sure which, but either way, Annette's dead at the end of that, so yeah. But if you save both girls, then you have to battle Death. On the 2 alternate stages, you will battle a Necromancer and a Water Dragon. And naturally, at the very end, on the final stage, you have a battle with Dracula. And this is my least favorite Dracula fight. The only reason it's remotely difficult is because of all the bottomless pits in the room. Either Dracula will knock you off into a pit when he hits you, or you'll jump too far, or not far enough, and fall into a pit that way. Dracula's first phase uses the same moveset as in Rondo of Blood. He'll teleport, shoot fireballs, or meteors at you, and teleport again. It is so tedious, especially with the bottomless pits in play. Since doing these reviews, this is the closest I have ever come to rage quitting a game. Thankfully, Dracula's second form is a huge pushover. You still gotta watch out for the bottomless pits, but Dracula does stop with the teleporting crap, and then you're able to melt him with the whip and the boomerang cross. If that's the sub-weapon you took. I know that was my sub-weapon of choice at the end. Anyway, Dracula is defeated again, and you have beaten the game. The fight with Dracula was what I was referring to at the start when I said that the game was pretty good overall, but there was something. The Dracula fight is what brings this game down a lot for me, which is a shame, because despite not being as good as Rondo of Blood, I did find the majority of my time with this game to be a blast. The graphics in the game are top-notch. It's a wonderful looking Super Nintendo game. It reuses a lot of assets from Rondo of Blood, but there's nothing wrong with that. Characters, enemies, bosses, and stages all look great. The sound effects are just fine. Standard Castlevania sound effects, no complaints at all. And the soundtrack is really damn good. It features a lot of classic Castlevania tunes, so you can't really go wrong there. Castlevania Dracula X is an alright game overall. I'd much rather play Rondo of Blood any day, and that's what I recommend doing. But if you are curious and you want to check it out and you want another Castlevania game to play, there's no harm in checking this one out at all. It is a lot of fun until you get to that Dracula fight. Oh, I hated that fight so much. Anyway, when I next jump into the Castlevania series, it is finally time for Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and I cannot even begin to describe how excited I am for that one. Thank you all so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And if you want to see more of me, you can catch me streaming all kinds of stuff over on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/CaseyTheGamer91. And I also have a Patreon where you can get perks like early video access and some other cool stuff. And that is patreon.com/CaseyTheGamer91. And you can find both of those links and all of my other links down in the description below. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to catch you next time. Peace out.